dialogue. Civilizational dialogue is something which we have always had. And I was just thinking that but for 1947, when my country got divided into another country, you were just next door neighbors. And this was a trans-Eurasian route. And this trans-Eurasian route carried not just trade in one or two items, but from spices to culture to books to science and technology, interactions of all kinds. It was not just silk which we were trading in, but we were trading in everything other than silk also. And this route is a continuum of civilization. I would not even label it as civilizational dialogues, but I label it as continuum of a civilizational history. And it is that history when Professor Govind Sharma ji mentioned about Professor Raghuveer. I was also thinking about Professor Raghuveer. I was thinking about Shashi Balaji, who's done immense work on the scripts of this region, language of this region, and also the Buddhist links which were established between our countries way back 2-3 centuries before Christ. And that continuum, I think, is something which we all take pride in. Our family systems, our village methodologies, because a whole lot of people still continue to live in rural setups, our food habits, whether it's pilaf or pulao, it tastes the same. And our method of living, social value systems, we see far more, at least in my observation, whatever I've traveled in this region, I see lots and lots of commonality. And these trans-Eurasian ties need to be strengthened further. The young authors who are present here, the youth becomes very, very important for people my age for the simple reason that you feel you've done some work in life, you have probably 2/3 of your life completed, 1/3 is left. But the ideas need to be seeded in the youth, which are going to take the country and other countries forward. And that seeding of idea is imperative for all times to come. And that's how civilizational interactions happen over a period of time. From generation to generation, ideas are carried out. So I wish my idea to be carried out by others when I'm not there, but others need to continue with those ideas because those are positive ideas. And those positive interactions are finding linkages which are of common heritage. And when we are finding linkages, obviously we'll come across some negative aspects of history also. And those negative aspects of history also need to be recorded so that we also know why we should not follow certain things because they had some negative repercussions for society, and one could write maybe a fictional novel based on that history. Naming and shaming is not the idea. The idea is to continue and learn from our experiences of civilizational ethos, value systems. And I would also say that since this is an academically oriented group, this academic group can also work on some common systems. Unfortunately, we don't operate in that strategic a manner, but I feel this academic group should also work on strategy, and the strategy is finding commonalities. Because what the work academics produce, other researchers can then highlight it. For example, when I say trans-Eurasian route, the trans-Eurasian route also gives emphasis to our own roots. And in our own roots, the Buddhist thought is one which would have translated to many civilizational values. I'm no academic, I'm just a learner, just a student of history, and I love knowing and reading and trying to find out more and more. So we can find some common tracks across this route and some tangible and intangible cultural heritage which can then be sent to UNESCO as transnational entries. There are 3 entries, I mean there are more entries, but I would, from international cooperation point of view, I'll focus on 3. Tangible heritage, intangible cultural heritage, documentary. So documentation in which envisages language, etc. So Pali tracks can be found, the tracks of Sanskrit can be found, and those tracks we can then, as a group or as different countries, send that across as entries for UNESCO recognition as tangible, intangible and documentary heritage, for world to know that this trans-Eurasian route has its own existence for many centuries, and it was this route through which Indian knowledge went to Europe, and somehow that recognition also needs to be brought back in focus. Importance, the educational importance. I'm glad that Education Ministry is the coordinating body for this, and Education Ministry definitely will think of this idea, because UNESCO also operates under you and all the academics are also under you. I will be there to support the idea whatever way I can, because entries have to run through us, and as Culture Ministry we have Sahitya Academy is the coordinating body, so we will support, but the research, the material and everything needs to come from you, and I'm glad we have JS from MEA who can coordinate and work with every other country. But some idea thrashing should happen in this forum, that what all can be sent. And when it comes to youth, I must say that you have a young scientists conclave also. It's a great platform. Again, it's the idea about cooperation. The name itself is cooperation. So when the idea of cooperation comes to human mind, the negativity needs to go away, and it is about working together on subjects and themes, and whether it's scientific or it's arts, craft, culture, and especially the writers have the ability to translate and combine both science and arts in the form of writings, in the form of novels, in the form of bring the human touch and talk about human problems, issues. And the more I read, the more I learn that 5,000 plus years of Indian civilization gives me a lesson that while the forms change, while the perspectives may change, people may change, but the same story keeps getting played over and over and over and over again, and issues remain the same. And most of the issues come from the thought, the mind, the human brain. And human brain has the ability to be so compassionate, so kind, that it can look after animals, birds, animate, inanimate objects, and the same human mind can be so vicious, so mean, that it can just go around, son can kill father and can just destroy families and life, bad company, impacting thoughts. So I feel the writer has the ability to go behind the body and get into the soul. And that ability is something which a whole lot of us do not possess. So my best wishes to the writers to come up with common ideas, common thought processes, civilizational contacts, language contacts, scripts, the common scripts which we possess, the ancient ethnography to epigraphy. There is so much of work which is possible in this region, and I wish I could go into all those interior places. When time permits, I shall do so. But for the time being, I would love to read your writings and understand the places, because I think reading is one thing which takes us to all the worlds, existing or non-existent, virtual or real.
नमस्कार, मैं हूं मानक गुप्ता। अगर आपको हमारा ये वीडियो पसंद आया हो तो इसे लाइक और शेयर जरूर करें, और हां, हमें सब्सक्राइब और फॉलो करना ना भूलें ताकि आप देश और दुनिया की कोई खबर मिस ना करें। तो जुड़े रहिए हमारे साथ और देखते रहिए News24।